So we're getting the UFC 290 this Saturday. It's going to end what's an awesome fan experience, International Fight Week, dude. The UFC goes out there in Las Vegas, and all week they got all these events going on, all these things. It's just, pool parties and meet and greets, and you're down there doing like fan expos and stuff. It's just this huge thing that the UFC puts on every year in an attempt to just draw attention to the sport, just create a great time for the fans, just have everybody come out. And then at the end, they always have a major card, right? This time it's UFC 290, and the main event for it, man, is going to be something else. We've got Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Now, look, anybody who watches this channel knows that I'm a huge fan of both guys. Right, and I'll start off a little bit talking about the champ. We got Alexander Volkanovski. I'll be the first to admit, always liked him, thought he was a very good fighter, but when he went into that first fight with Max Holloway, I thought he was gonna come up short. Thought Max Holloway was gonna come out with the victory. I mean, dude, Max Holloway is a savage. He is something else, man. What we've seen this dude do over the years is just incredible. But Volkanovski came out with the victory on that one. And man, ever since that fight, dude, I have just been a believer. I mean, this dude is so talented. He just keeps getting better and better and better. And then to think that in the rematch, and then to think that in the third fight, this dude just comes out and puts these definitive stamps on the wins on Holloway. Think about what he did to Jose Aldo. You saw how he got out of that submission attempt from Brian Ortega, who is just a monster once he gets on somebody's neck. We saw what he did in his last fight against Makhachev, and even though he came up short in that fight, dude, it was the performance that was so impressive. I mean, people could not be higher on Islam Makhachev. I mean, especially his ground game and the grappling and just what this man brings to the octagon every time he shows up, and just the physical strength and the aura that he has and everything else, his energy in there and the flawless technique and just all special stuff, right? And look at what Volk did. Look at how good Volkanovski looked in that fight, man. Look at the way he was on the feet. Look at the way he was handling himself in the grappling. Even when he was getting held down and dominated, he wasn't getting submitted. He wasn't getting beaten to a pulp. I mean, that wasn't the story. The cardio was there. He was able to maintain, like, dude, Volkanovski is something else, right? And we can talk about all kinds of things. But I think if I'm just going to start to think about it from like a general standpoint, I got to highlight just a couple things. And number one is the versatility. That's really one of the key things that makes him special. Is that he can do everything, man. You want to see him work the jab? We've seen him work the jab to great success against Mendez and Elkins and other guys. We've seen it. We want to see him work the low kick? Oh, man, we've seen him use that low kick and tear up Max Holloway's leg in their first fight. You want to see him use all the feints? Watch every fight. Dude, the feints are something else. His feints are so good, combined with obviously the actual offensive work that he's able to do, that those feints freeze guys. I mean, he's only 5'6", great reach, 71 inches, right? So he's got these long arms and he's able to do stuff. But nevertheless, there's a lot of times going into these fights where he has to get inside. He has to control the distance. So how do you get inside on somebody? Because that's where you want the fight to take place. So how do you get inside on somebody without throwing? Because if you're throwing while you're coming in, no matter how fast or how strong or whatever it is that you may choose, you're potentially leaving. You're always going to leave an opening. Even if I throw the least committed strike, which would be a jab, I leave an opening. You can come over the top of it. You can slip and go down to the body. You can use a straight right hand, counter left hook. You can stuff it short and come back with your own jab. There's a whole range of things that you can do, right? But if I come forward and I'm using feints, if I got good balance, I've got good positioning, but I'm coming forward and I'm using feints until I get myself into position. I don't need any throwaway shots. I don't need to leave any openings. Everything I do at that point, I can come in and I can make it count. And we've seen Volkanovski do that so well, right? He'll work behind the jab, but he'll also come in behind feints. And then he's got this sneaky right hand that he'll shoot on guys. We saw him do it a couple times in his in the fight before Makhachev when he was fighting Brian Ortega. He's just able to come in on that first round and just land these right hands, and he makes it look so easy and it looks so clean, but it's all about the setup to it, right? It's all about the fact that guys don't see it coming. That's how come he's able to take world-class fighters and he's able to slowly but surely snake his way into position and then just explode with these big shots, right? A guy in boxing that we see do that very well is Canelo. He's able to come forward behind a guard. He's able to inch his way into position because he's consistently the smaller guy until he gets to where he wants to get, and then he's able to get his shots off, right? Guys that have to try to throw strikes to get their way in always leaves themselves the potential to be counter, right? But Volk's too good for that, man. Fight IQ just through the roof, right? He knows exactly what he's doing with everything, and he does it all so well, right? It's just these subtle movements and these slick little things. Even when he gets taken down by guys who are potentially bigger and stronger, whatever the case may be, he's able to get back up. Submission attempts, he's getting out of them. Dude, cardio through the roof. He's able to put a work rate on guys. I mean, what is there not to like about what dude brings. And then he comes in and he's got a finisher's mentality. So when he gets the opportunity, he wants to get guys out of there. Dude, the champ is the champ for a reason, man. That dude he's something else. But I don't, but, put all that to the side for a second and let's talk a little bit about Yair Rodriguez, right? Because that man is something special as well. I feel like we've seen 3 versions of him in the octagon. We got this first version, which was like, I wasn't high on it at all. Didn't like it. I used to say, like, what is this dude? Like a glorified gymnast. He's an acrobat. He's coming out there and he's shooting all these flashy taekwondo kicks because that's his background. And they're super fast and they're accurate and everything else. But at the end of the day, that's not what's going to get you to the highest level as a fighter. And we saw that. And then we saw him get beat down. We saw him get blown out. He ends up changing camps. He's out of the ring for a little while, steps back in, and he had a much more purposeful style. He wasn't using all this unnecessary movement. He wasn't throwing kicks out there just to be flashy. He wasn't doing anything that was necessarily there to get the oohs and ahs of the crowd. It wasn't anything like that. It was like he got it, man. He clicked. He evolved. He came back. I want to say, if I remember correctly, it was after that Frankie Edgar fight. Frankie Edgar just came in there and just showed him. I mean, he showed him what's up, dude, like Frankie Edgar has done to so many other people over the years. But that was an evolution that we saw. I believe that was the first evolution that we saw, and the second form, so to speak, that we saw of Yair Rodriguez. And I really liked it, man. I was like, dude, this guy's got so much physical talent. He's so explosive. He's so quick. He knows that if you can just get him to move inside of small spaces instead of big spaces, if you can get him comfortable without using unnecessary movements, if you can get him to the point where he understands how and when specifically to use that incredible physical gifts that he has, this dude's going to be something special. And that was the first iteration of it, man. That's when we really started to see it. So we see a little bit more here and there. We see the fight with Jeremy Stephens. Interesting fight. Not the first one, weak, ends up getting stopped, whatever. We're talking about the second one, right? That second fight, really interesting. Yair got lucky that it was only 3 rounds, in my opinion. I think if it would have went longer, Jeremy Stephens would have been able to get him. The first one was scheduled for 5, but since they had to reschedule it, that one was only 3. Okay, so up until that point, same thing, man. Like those first 3 rounds, like he did everything he does, and he looks amazing, and we continue to see the evolution. We continue to see the low kicks. Love the calf kicks. Dude, because he's got that taekwondo background, he's able to stand in a position, and he's able to, like, when he wants to, he can be flat-footed, he can be right in front of you, and he can shoot these shots off so quick, so fast, so explosive with almost no tell. Right? And that's really what's so key about it. Because if you put a guy who's ranked number 50 in the world, nobody that you know of it, but you put him in the gym and you look at everything that he does when he's working the heavy bags, and he's working the pads and the mitts and all this kind of stuff, they look great. They all look great, dude. Right? You put him in the ring, he doesn't look great. Why is that? Right? Well, it's a few things. Maybe he can't necessarily read what his opponent's doing or whatever defensively, doesn't have good timing or whatever. But part of the reason the guys can't get their offense off against opponents, even though you see them looking very polished when they're, again, working the bags or whatever, working the mitts, is because they don't know how to set their shots up. They don't know how to get them off. They have too many tells. So when you've got a trained opponent standing in front of you, you can shoot that punch, you can shoot that kick, but it's not going to land, and you're not going to be able to use it to set up and be able to build your offense around, right? So a big thing is having no tells, shooting that punch straight versus getting that little hitch in your punch where you kick your hand back a little bit first, right? Getting your kick off without twitching your hip just a little bit to give that tell, right? That's all the top level guys need to be able to see that coming and step out of the way, implement a block and a counter, whatever the case may be. He doesn't have that, man. He is so smooth and so quick with it. It's beautiful stuff, right? We saw that even in the losing effort against Max Holloway, man. Oh, that was such a good fight. Such a good fight. And I feel like, honestly, that was the fight that led to the next evolution and the form that we see in him now, right? Because he went in there and he got off so many shots, dude. Yair Rodriguez got off so many shots in that first round. He's kicking the leg. He lands a head kick, dude. He's getting off nasty punches on Max Holloway. Max didn't go anywhere. And not only did he not go anywhere, he came back and ended up winning the fight. And I guarantee you that if you would have asked Yair Rodriguez before that fight, hey, you're going to get off all of this offensive work. You're going to get all of these shots off. You're going to be able to do all of these great things. He would have thought that he wins, no doubt. He probably would have thought that he wins by stoppage, because that's usually what happens when a guy like that gets off on somebody. He gets the win and he gets an impressive victory. So the fact that Max was able to endure all that and come back and get the victory, I think that led to huge growth by Yair, right? I think that's just part of sometimes what you need as a fighter. You just have to experience these incredible adversities and run into things that you haven't run into before. And I think that's what it did for him. And now when you see him come out there, man, he's so smart. He's so sharp, man. He's so slick. We saw him this last fight. They won him the interim that gets this one against Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett's a beast. Dude, he takes a big shot from him in the early, but he finds the left kick with that body shot in which he starts landing the left body kick, following up with this right hook to the head. I mean, it's all just great work, right? So we're just seeing two dudes here who are just coming together for this main event who are just, it's going to be explosive, man. It's going to be a great fight. But at the end of the day, even though it is so hard to pick against the champ and there's no reason that you necessarily want to point out some flaw in his game or whatever, I've got this feeling that it's just Yair's time, dude. For whatever reason, I've got this feeling that Volk has just been in. He's went on this incredible run and just won all of these fights. And it wouldn't surprise me for Yair to be so fast and so quick, so explosive, particularly in the first couple rounds, that Volk isn't able to get his feints off. And if he's not able to get those feints off, if he's not able to freeze his opponent with him, if he's not able to use those to be able to get into the range that he wants, I think he'll find it a little bit difficult to work the jab, a little bit difficult to get the right hand off. Now, he'll be able to do it later in the fight. He will not be deterred. He's not going to be unmotivated. You are not going to demoralize Alexander Volkanovski in the middle of a fight. So come third round, fourth round, fifth round, he's definitely going to be able to see some success. Wouldn't surprise me at all for this to be a split decision. But I just have a feeling like early on between the low kicks and the explosiveness that Yair's going to be able to see that success. He's going to be able to get past the feints. And really, that's the big thing. That's where he'll be able to win. So I think he'll win the first 2 rounds because he's going to come out on fire in that way. Then them last 3 rounds are just going to be a dogfight, man. And I just got this feeling that Yair Rodriguez is going to come out with the victory. So as tough as it is, as close as it is, I wouldn't be surprised for 1 second if Alexander Volkanovski won this one. But there's just something in me that's telling me this is the time for Yair to shine, that he's gonna make it. So let me know what you guys think. Are you as excited about this one as I am? What do you think each man is going to be able to bring to it? And who do you think is going to come out with that victory? Let me know.